Thank you once again for sparing your time to be in class today. So last week we came up with a couple of things as a structured schedule of what we'll be following through in another 9 to 10 weeks. Prior to that, we've been able to cover quite a large distance dealing with a couple of uh, dashboard projects, which took some, say, 6 to 7 different classes to finally finish or complete those projects. Here is the first one we did, and I think I shared this last week too. And we have a link to this project on our social media platform already. For the benefit of those who are just joining or who are seeing this for the first time, I'll be putting the link to those completed projects in the chat box. This was another project we finished also. So the benefit of this class is to help us to build some level of confidence, familiarize ourselves with data, and be able to master basic skills needed for us to transform, manipulate, and extract as much insight as possible from data. And this goes a long way because you cannot underestimate the significance of such skill, being able to press and drill down as much as possible over any set of data presented to you, and you are able to draw an inference, which is a scientific trait or a phenomenon in science, an ability to draw inference from an established fact and be able to predict what is to happen right in the future. So let me quickly drop the link to this project in the chat box so we can pick up this link. First one on our LinkedIn channel, then you can try and lay your hand on how to work on it. And the beauty of this is to also ensure if you get yourself busy, try it out and put it on your own channel. So that's one of the projects. Let me pick the second link. So we can do this at our leisure and start getting some strength in handling data. So that's the second one, which we can use. So it's already in the chat box. We can follow those links to work on those previous projects we have completed. So having done those projects, we did one more too, and that was essentially on data cleaning. It's somewhere on our social media platform too. If I see that link, I can equally share in the course of the class. So having said that, the next thing we need to do was to complete what we started last week, which was um, the declaration of the structure we want to follow this time around, because like I said in the last class, a couple of people reached out trying to say they were finding it a bit difficult to catch up with the current state the class has gotten to, and they would need some assistance. So we decided to structure out all the topics we need to do so that we can take everybody by the hand and move one step at a time from the basic analytical tool expected of you, from the most familiar tool, which is Excel. So when we move up from there, or having gained mastery over Excel, which is common to most people, then we can probably take a couple of other data analytics to help people with. So this was the structure we follow, and this structure was presented in the class last week. Well, a couple of people were not in that class, so we've divided into modules. We'll be taking module one, dealing with data analytics project. Module two, we deal with getting started with data gathering and investigation. Module three, I have to rush through because we dealt with this last week. Module three will be on preparing and cleaning data for analysis. The module four will be dealing with transforming data with Excel. Module 5 will take care of analyzing data using statistics. Then Module 6, we focus on introduction to relational databases and SQL. Module 7 will move ahead to introduction to structured query, which is still an extension of SQL as it were. Then module 8 will pick another data visualization tool, which is more like a twin brother to Power BI, which is a product of Microsoft, and that is called Tableau. So we'll be taking on Tableau because it's a bit, I'm not sure it's as common as Power BI, but it's also a very powerful data visualization dedicated for visualizing data, just like Power BI. So after that, we'll move to module 9, which is a few talks around ethics and bias in data. That is also very crucial because a lot of governance, a lot of regulation, a lot of control comes with data, and it builds on people working with data, regardless of the level of that work, to have this understanding of GDPR and whatever other regulation that subsists in whatever country we had. Then finally, which is module 10, we deal with data analytics projects and all that. So after that, we'll go into some capstone projects, which will emerge shortly before we get to module 10, which is the final one. So this was where we stopped last week. We wanted to deal with module 1 and have some explanation around what data analytics projects itself is all about. This is so crucial. It is one thing to be able to use the tools to manipulate data, extract some insights, do some calculation, use DAX formula, for instance, in Power BI, use a lot of statistical formulas, either in Excel or any other tool to analyze data. But it is entirely a different thing to have the sensibility expected of an average data analyst. And that is why this class is so crucial prior to us going back into dashboard and calculation. There is something that must be at the back of your mind, or that must underline your mind while you are dealing with any data, and that is the kind of what I would call data analyst sense. There is a particular sense or a measure of understanding that an average data analyst must have. And we'll deal with that discussion today, which will wrap up this introduction class. Then hopefully by next week, we go straight back into our calculation, dashboards, and other things we'll be able to do. So in this current era, we have data everywhere. Data is as voluminous. I cannot even tell what is more between data and water now. Of course, water is endless, as it were. You cannot quantify, but it seems to me that data, or the rate at which data is being produced now, is getting to that same level of the massiveness that water have in the mighty ocean. We currently have tsunami of data everywhere, and it is something every employee or anybody, wherever you find yourself, you cannot escape. In fact, it is something that will set you apart as you are progressing in your career trajectory, because you will not be able to run away from numbers or data. And that is exactly what would differentiate people who are just coping with their roles and people who are evolving with their role. These are the reality in this current age and time. So in our digital era, we have vast amount of data produced everywhere. Data analytics is a field of discipline used in the transformation of this data. And the objectives we want to ensure we deal with is that at the end of uh, this whole class, or the entire module we are dealing with, we should be able to explain what exactly is the value proposition that comes from data analytics. What value has this discipline got? Why should I even go into it in the first place? And what makes it more like something indispensable for every average employee or human being? So we should also be able to describe the different phases of uh, data analytics. What are the different processes involved? The basic one that at least you cannot do without. Then we explain a couple of things around project portfolio, which is the repository of the works you have done that can demonstrate your competence and your capacity in data analytics. Yes, so we have analytics in real time, which is still under Module 1. And under that, we deal with the value of data analytics, the data analytics revolution that we currently have, finding the answers and the different types of analysis. So before going to finding the answer, I want to rush a bit. Uh, Analytics in real time and trying to get what value comes with data analytics. The real time simply means is a differentiation of something that is static or something that occurs in the past in comparison with something that goes with time. It follows time dynamics, not just something that occurred in the past. Meaning, after considering what has taken place just a few seconds ago, if anything changes right at the moment you are talking, the model or the platform or the program you have built changes with that new change that comes in by just a click of button in refreshing it. So unlike before, when data analytics started with just a couple of people or a few people coming up with a small complaint, and their aim was just to deal with customer inquiries and deal with employees' problems. So they started playing around with a few data and what have you. That particular pursuit that started with those few people has currently evolved into what we currently call the modern day data science or data analytics endeavor, which is now cutting across every industry that is known to man in any way. And some industry differ from other industries. Some industry, they deal with past data you have used in the past. You just analyze it and just describe a few things and explain in a way that decision maker will be able to understand. But in this current time and age, we have gone past that level of analysis. Data analysis or data analytics does not rely on descriptive analysis alone, which is only on historical data. You are expected to be able to also deal with data as they are currently being produced. And that brings into discussion the Internet of Things and different dynamics that has come into play as we are doing things in this age and time. All the devices we currently have, all of them generate data and they produce those data in real time. What separates a struggling organization or a struggling nation or country from those who are progressing and those who have gotten to development stage or phase is their ability to manage and manipulate their data in real time, because they have different machineries in place and they have structures in place that capture all of these different forms of data and they draw insight from them. So what is the value of data analytics? A typical example I will bring to us has to do with a particular basketball team at a particular basketball team coach that did something unusual. What was it? On assumption of office or his role as a coach, he decided to use available data that has been gathered over time in that particular team or club. And his analysis told him something quite unusual. He went ahead to bring up previous players that were undervalued, that were underused, because the data he was reading showed to him that those players were doing something quite good, but there was nobody to help them extract it out correctly. He went ahead to bring those players and a tournament came or a championship came, he used this same set of players that were undervalued for that particular championship, and he actually won that championship. It was a very, very unprecedented feat he achieved. How did he do that? He got an insight from data that were analyzed. People that will have been jettisoned, left unused, abandoned, for as long as you can imagine, actually were brought back into play, and they had something that other people you were actually looking at did not actually have. So that is how much data, I mean, how much difference or how much progress data can bring if you have ability to drill down into it and extract some things from it. So what are the revolution? A lot of revolution has come into play as we currently speak. Before now, there is nothing called big data, but in this age and time, data has grown to a level that it could not just be referred to as data again. And that is why a discipline is called big data. And even there is a subject called big data and how to study big data. Now, this big data came as a result of the fact that the old way of storing data, the old way of keeping data, the old way of piling up data is no longer enough to catch up with the vast amount of data that is being produced currently. So you cannot just do rows and columns again because data are no longer coming just in text form. Data now come today in all forms. In any way a human being can communicate, that is a data point. It could be through sound, it could be through video, it could be through text, it could be through image, it could be through anything. They have data point expected to be captured and reanalyzed and used for the purpose they are meant for. And that's exactly what we have in our current modern day. All social media platform, you get into your social media account. Sometimes you just see some similar things being suggested back to you. It's as a result of a few things you have clicked before. There is something capturing that single click and it's been analyzed at the back end, and it goes ahead to fetch back to you in your feed similar thing or things similar to what you have clicked on before, what you have searched for before, what you have bought before, what you have listened to before, or whatever you have interacted with before in a way. That is something working behind, and that's exactly what artificial intelligence is riding on today. The food of AI is nothing but data. So AI is simply analyzing data at the back end and pushing it back to us at the graphical user interface for us to see. What that guy is using is ability to execute data. And because it's a digital product, it uses processor that is so mad. Within microseconds can process data in a large volume and spin it up. That is so massive, and that's what makes AI something that is not just coming in our age. It has come to stay, even though some people are still disbelieving. It has come to stay, and it has come to revolutionize the whole of the different economic industry that we currently have. So the earlier people sharpen the necessary skills they need to meet up with this trend, the better as it is. So, what next? What are the answers we want to find? There are questions everywhere uh, in our day-to-day activities that we see. How do we find answers to them? And what sort of questions are they in the first place? Questions could be, for instance, who, as a company, who are our customers and how do we best reach them? There is an existing data you've got to go after to do some few manipulations over to answer this question. Why am I coming up with this question is to show you the importance of questions in the life of an average data analyst. In fact, the bedrock of every data analysis is nothing but questions, because you aren't coming up to create a dashboard for the fun of it, or for just a mere fancy. No, all of that is being done just in response to a question. So if your dashboard isn't answering any questions, then you have not started yet. So for every dashboard you are going to be building, or we are going to be building going forward, in addition to the ones we've built before, they are deliberate attempt to answer questions. For instance, the last project we did, the project 2, there were 3 critical questions the HR directors pushed to this guy. First question was, okay, can you tell me how many employees we have in this organization and what is their age distribution? Even though you work in HR, you have a rough estimate of the number. You cannot just use your head to answer that question. You've got to go back to your data if you have any, extract it appropriately to see what comes out for you as outcome in response to those questions. Second question was, okay, um, do we pay, or do female employees earn more than male employees, or do male employees earn more than female employees? Similarly, this has to be answered by data, by just doing a few of the analysis that we did. Uh, I think I have it here, and those were the things we were trying to answer in that particular project. Yes, this was the dashboard we came up with. These were the questions. So, how many employees do we have, and what is their age distribution? Then, is there salary gap between male and female employees? Then the third one was saying, okay, do we pay for performance in this organization? Do we ensure that people who are top performance of in every band or every grade level actually earn more than those who do not perform as much as they do? Because in some organization, unknown to them, maybe for one favoritism or the other, or for one sentiment or the other, they were not actually paying by performance. They pay by a couple of other yardsticks or benchmark that is best known to them, whereas they would think they are actually paying performance. How do you know that? Go back into your data. What is your data telling you? Check the different bands, the different grades, and see if you are truly paying for performance. And that's exactly what this dashboard is telling us. I've shared a link. You can see the analysis right on the platform, and follow through the video to also do a couple of things. So that is how much data we need, and how much data can help us to answer some questions. So it could be, why did a particular thing occur? It could be, what does the future hold for our business? It could be, what exactly is currently happening? The question could be, what has happened in the past that can inform future growth? It could be, what is the state of our markets and our competitors? Different questions can arise, but the most important thing is that before any other stage in data analytics or in data analysis, the very first thing that comes is you are finding answers to some critical questions, because those questions are your guide into what type of analysis you will employ and how you will go about them. So in general, there are different type of analysis, but they've been recondensed into 4 most common. And we'll go through those 4 most common in a short while. You've got to know if a particular question you want to answer in a particular data analysis exercise falls under either a descriptive analysis, or a predictive analytics, or a prescriptive analytics, or a diagnostic analytics. We need to understand this because it will make you act more professionally as a data analyst when you have any project or task at hand. You can easily figure out in your head, okay, this question or this particular problem is actually related to descriptive and a bit of maybe prescriptive, or maybe uh, diagnostics, and a bit of predictive. So you figure it out if you already have the understanding of what they are. Now, what are descriptive analytics? Simply is describing. And when you are describing, it means that particular thing exists already. So it simply asks a question that we call what happened. It's trying to ask us what has taken place. So you have to go back to historical data. That is the feed for this kind of analysis. It means the data is already gathered. Probably it has used like a couple of months or even a quarter. So most of the time, descriptive analytics comes in, okay, quarterly reports, maybe every 6 month report or even an annual report. So it is about things that have taken place in time past, and you want to probably compare it month on month or year on year to see what exactly took place in those periods in the past. So essentially, data analytics is just a process that helps us to answer questions, figure out patterns, and extract insights from data. And the four basic processes that is being deployed to get this done or to walk through these are these four different stages I've mentioned. So descriptive. So descriptive helps you to ask what happened. So in answering that, you go ahead and land on historical data. Predictive is trying to help you to foretell what exactly could happen in the future. You are trying to predict. You are trying to suggest in your head what could happen in the future. Why prescriptive is trying to recommend a course of action. The word prescriptive comes from the word prescription, which is known mostly in the medical field, especially to doctors. So doctors prescribe. By prescribing, doctors recommend a course of action after they must have discovered the cause of a particular issue. So doctors give prescription to put you in a particular process and channel to follow so that you get to a particular end. So the intention of that doctor is to take somebody who is ill of malaria and take him or her out of that malaria. By prescription, he gives him or her malaria drugs and tell him or her how many of those drugs, which is the dosage, and for how long they are to be used. And by following that regiment's formula, the person eventually will come out of that particular issue. So it is a recommendation of a course of action to take you out from a particular spot to another level based on opinion or advices from an expert. Diagnostic analytics is the ability to deep dive into the reason why something took place. Do not forget, the very first one is descriptive. That one is just telling us what happened. It's more like a straight-jacketed question. What happened? No problem. I just go into the archive and pick out for you and tell you what happened. So the archive tells us what happened. You land on historical data to deal with that. But for diagnostics, you don't just stop at what happened. Okay, this is what happened. We had 20,000 customers that patronized us last month. That is what happened. Okay, this month we have 15,000 customers that patronize us. That is also what happened. But diagnostically, you want to know why did we have 20,000 customers the first month and in subsequent months we had 15,000? Why? So, an attempt to answer that why question, you are going into diagnostic analysis or analytics. You want to know the story behind that history. Why did it happen that way? what should we do next, or what should we do better? What should we redress? What should we improve in order to get a different result? So that digs deeper, trying to diagnose. Just like when a doctor sees a patient, asking a few questions about the history of that patient, is just to know what could have been responsible for what is suspecting that is wrong with the patient in the first place. So those are the types of analytics, data analytics that we have, and we will be dealing with them in different projects. Sometimes a particular project could necessitate combination of those analytics style or process. Sometimes it could just be just one we use, but the type of data analytics that we are going to use is solely dependent on the question at hand or the context in which the question relies. Okay, so those are the different types of data analytics. Then next is to go into the stages of data analysis itself, which are the processes of data analysis. So we have 6 of them. Let me see the time. Wow. So we have 6 of them, and I've said some of them in passing while I was giving the intro, but it all begins with question, because data analytics is a process of using data to answer question, a process of using data to spot a pattern or a trend, the process of using data to extract insights. So an average data analyst is an insight extraction officer, if you allow me to say so. So an average data analyst is an answer to a question, or somebody who works at providing answer to a question. So an average data analyst is somebody who identifies a trend. When he sees something correlating, it catches his understanding. He has to put a note on that something is suspicious here. We need to know what is going on. That is the kind of sense, quote and unquote, I want to drive home for every data analyst to have. This kind of underlying understanding and sense, quote and unquote, can set you apart a lot, because it will guide the way you deal with the data and any project you are working on at any point in time. The next process is, after asking a question or after encountering a question, I want to answer this question. The way to answer question is not by intuition, which most people are falling prey of. And that's exactly why we call this process discovery for people managers. The reason is because more often than not, an average HR person or people manager, they tend, or they are often being forced to deal with situation using intuition. But in this age and time, intuition is not enough to deal with scientific circumstances. You must rather use empirical processes to deal with them. And what are empirical processes? You just must use facts and figures, which are numbers and which are data. So those questions have come to you. The next thing you want to do is not just to use your head. That would be emotional. That would be sentimental. You want to go over to data. So the next thing to do is to getting the relevant data. Okay, I have this question in mind. How can I get the data? Another. Long before now, it's been pretty difficult to get data that you can analyze to answer a question, but that is no longer any issue in this age and time. There is data everywhere now. Just go on Google. Google will take you to any data source. You can use Kaggle, for instance. Kaggle will fetch you as many data sets as possible. You can even go right on any AI, ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot or what have you. Just ask, I need data to answer this particular set of questions. Give me the right source close to giving me very good data sets to deal with this question. You'll be amazed at what you see. So those are the things we need to do after having a question in your mind. You want to go after the right set of data that you'll be looking at. Now that you have gotten the data, the next thing you want to do is to investigate the data. You have to investigate the data. So it's good to have as many options of data or as many data samples as possible from different streams. Good, but you've got to investigate the content of that data. Check the different columns of the data. Does that data set have enough data points or columns relevant or enough to answer all the questions you have? So you need to investigate, check very well. Okay, I think all the available columns here, they are enough to answer the questions I have. Yeah, good. You go ahead and use the data. If not, you may need to go further or dig further to get more data that will be comprehensive enough to eventually take care of all the questions you are coming up with. Then the next thing is to prepare the data. In preparing the data, you want to make sure you clean it and make the data free of some impediments that may affect analysis. And in preparing data, there are a few skills. We did some cleaning exercise too in one of the projects we did before, and I think in the last 3 classes. So you can also check our social media platform to see that. So it's a complete project where we exemplify the different processes needed. Do you want to remove duplicates? Do you want to remove blank spaces? Do you want to remove problems with, is it having a first letter being capitalized and some letters in between being capitalized and skewing the whole process? You want to deal with that too. Do you want to also ensure that what you have in terms of rows and columns align correctly with what is exactly needed? Do you want to use proper to normalize the different columns you have? Do you want to do all sort of removal of spaces at the beginning or at the end that can affect whatever model you are building from that data? You just want to clean it as much as possible and turn it into a very clean table that will enhance your analysis. This is an example of what we did. So this is a clean data, and we brought it right from this level, as disjointed as it is here. We brought it up to this level after cleaning. So this is now ready and good for analysis without any dirtiness right in it. So you could also pick up the link to watch the video for this for more information. So after preparing the data, then the next thing is to go right into analyzing the data, uh, answering the questions that you have penciled down at the outset, and eventually getting it as ready as possible for a layman to understand. And that is using visualization as much as possible, not too many colors here and there, just going straight to the point, putting KPIs where they need to be, putting the dashboard button where they need to be, putting the control panels in terms of slicers where they need to be, and making it as catching as possible, and highlighting the most important parts of the dashboard that answer the questions that you penciled down in the first place. Then you can present your results to all stakeholders that are needed or that are interested in that particular project. So this is still what I've already done. You have investigating, presenting the results. Yes. Another very important thing is, while trying to do all of this, sometimes one other thing that helps is ability to have some business understanding. Some people call it subject matter expert. Being a subject matter expert helps a lot in understanding an industry. And when you are dealing with their data, when you come with any obstacle or any impediment, you will know and you know what to do or who to reach out to get clarification. So more like being a domain, having a domain knowledge, being a domain expert. And this is what additional advantage that comes to an average data analytics analyst. When you are dealing with a particular data, you will want to strive as much as possible to get as much insight as possible. Before you know it, you are learning the jargons and terminologies of that particular industry just to be sure that all the data points you have more than enough understanding of what they mean and represent, and why you are trying to present your results and making recommendation, you know you are giving what is very, very important to the stakeholder. So it's equally very good to have business understanding. And in having business understanding, there are a couple of questions you get to ask. Where should the marketing budget be concentrated to increase new business? How can a company make sure they are stocking the right inventory? What product or services should be recommended to a customer, and what have you? So those are the very, very fundamental understanding that is expected of every average data analyst, either those who are just starting off or those who are even who have got some experience in it. You cannot beat the fact that you must have the right mindset in terms of sense expected of a data analyst, which will propel you or get you well equipped enough to ask the right questions and be able to probe correctly into the data that you have. Granted, we started off this program for HR people, people managers, but along the line, it's already becoming obvious that every average human being cannot do without data and ability to explain what that data is. I mean, what that data is saying and what it means is a sine qua non, is crucial in this time and age for everybody, because it will make you to 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 have better sense of judgment and to know what is the best line of action to follow at any point in time. Yep, we have spent 40 minutes already, and that is the cap for each class, like we have said. So we've dealt with this background understanding that is needed now. From next class, we are set to go back to our calculations again and our dashboard last before. Do I have any question? Do I have any clarification from anybody? Do I have any addition from any one of us? Yes, you can just signify. Yes, please go ahead, Victoria.
Okay, good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good
Sorry,
evening.
the classes I had to miss out on it because of a lot that came up. But I told myself this one I won't miss out. So I'll try and catch up with the others to really, really understand what the analytics section is all about. Because I really, really need it, just as you said earlier. And
Yeah,
thank you for today because it's really, really educative. Now, you were talking about getting data in preparation of data, analyzing data. You can get it from AI, Copilot, and likes. But if it has to do with a particular organization, how do you go about it? Is it that if you cannot, if it's an organization you cannot lay hands on those described data you talked about, can it be gotten elsewhere? I'm not talking of generally, like data generally for let's say female that probably work in social places and all. No, I'm talking of a specific organization. If you're to get a particular data and it's something you cannot lay hands on from the company, how do you go about it? Thank you, sir.
all right. Thank you so much for that question. Um, yeah, that's a very good one. Data generally, for instance, let's say you are working for an organization and you are probably working in the business intelligence department, because that is a new department that has come up in most companies now. And that business intelligence department, what are they doing? They are just trying to bring up intelligence for managers so that it can help them improve their decisions. And intelligence in this sense simply means information. And information in this sense simply means numbers. Numbers in this sense simply means data. So if you cannot get that data from that particular organization, I bet it with you, there are dummy data right everywhere on the internet. I mentioned one, Kaggle. You can go to kaggle.com, Kaggle. Kaggle.com has data set for all sort of things, such that you can just type it in the search tool in Kaggle, and Kaggle will show to you straight away. Let me demonstrate that right in this class. Let's see. So you can see if you sign up right here on Kaggle, the moment you get into the interface of your account, it has different industries that are listed that you can just type in any question you have in mind, then it will supply some data that you need to work on. So if your question is, okay, I need a data concerning, let's say, a particular, I mean, the data falls in oil complaint, and an average oil company will not, of course, release their data because of data governance, regulation, and all that. Definitely, they will not. But there are something we call dummy data. Those data have already been anonymized. I mentioned this in the last class. They've been anonymized and they've been pseudonymized. Those two words, as data people, you need to understand. When you anonymize data, you have more, I mean, you have more or less, you have redacted it such that it cannot identify any identifiable or personable entity, such that you will now be queried for letting out somebody's private or confidential data or information. So those data have been redacted or anonymized such that it is just dummy, it's just common data that is not referring to anybody. And if you, for any reason, see any name, it is a name that cannot be traced to any human being. For instance, if I see joy on a particular thing, does it mean any joy that is known to anybody? Not exactly, because there are 1,000,001 joys, or 1,000,001 people bearing joy. So those data are available. If you have any question in mind or any project in mind and you have a challenge with data, you can reach me. I'll be happy to assist in getting that data. I can bet it with you. There are data for almost anything or almost any sort of analysis we want to do. Does that answer your question, Victoria?
Def- Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you. All right. Please go ahead, Okwemi.
Thank you, sir, for this insightful training. So now, looking at what you've said and a bit of understanding with data analytics, coming from human resources and administration, what roles or positions would you say someone, apart from human resource, apart from data analytics or data analyst position, uh, um, now I can see, okay, now this can also fit into business analysis and also project management. What other positions or what positions would you say also aligns with data analytics that, okay, once you have this skill, you can say you want to apply for this position and you would be able to function properly? And also just a bit of insights to the question I think Victoria now asked about getting data to a particular organization. Now, apart from using Kaggle and the likes, some organizations also produce their audits online and all that. So if you go on their website, on their audit report, you get some data from there, and you can also use it to do whatever analysis that you want to do. So thank you. That's my question and my contribution. Thank you.
Great. That's so good. Thank you, Lokwemi. Victoria, please take that addition from Okwemi. That's true. We have annual report from our company. In fact, it's even statutory anyway, that most companies do annual report, even though you will not see the complete data used in arriving at that annual report, but at least they are straight to the point in terms of what has happened in the last 1 year in those organizations, and you could use it. But if you now need something a bit deeper, you can probably search more. So to Okwemi's question, um, yes, it is very important that you know where to eventually apply these skills at the end of the day after acquiring the competence. Now you are now data intelligent. Where do you exemplify your intelligence? Where do you deploy them? And she's coming from a niche called human resource niche. And I happen to have good understanding of that niche too. Over time, there was no specialty in HR that has anything to do with data. In fact, more often than not, when it comes to data related tasks, they dedicate or they push those tasks to specialists, and that's what led to what we call, or what we are, I mean, something like payroll analyst or payroll specialist. The reason is because not all HR people can deal with payroll, even though I agree that payroll is a specialty. But if you come from generalist background, HR generalist background, you will understand that you'll have done or been exposed to all of these things from day one. I cannot count how many thousands or in their hundreds of payroll that I do. And this started from ability to deal with Excel, just manipulate data frequently. And when those tasks started coming in terms of dealing with payroll, I took it up as a challenge and I developed my skills in those things such that in less than 6 months, what I came up with in terms of dealing with payroll, creating payroll, doing all sorts of things, I marvel myself. But that is a specialty that some people actually sit on as a specialty in HR, and you cannot take it against them. Now, in our age, we have a field, I mean, we have a specialty rather in HR called people analytics. People analytics is just getting employee related data, analyzing it, and using it to make a case for people management in your organization. So they go, people analysts do more or less of what I've shown you that we did in the last how many classes. This dashboard is what an average people analyst will do in the organization and present it to their director. The director take it to the board or strategy room and start presenting it, just pressing all these buttons that we have created here. Whereas it is not a rocket science. It is something an average person can walk along. Those who were in class where we did this, you will bear me witness that this one does not cost us anything extra. It's just little patience and interest that made us arrive at this. Yes, we did this in this class. So apart from the fact that um, apart from the fact that we have apart from the fact that we have the specialty in HR, data intelligence is not even limited to HR alone, as it were, and it's also not limited to uh, analyzing people data. There are other tasks in HR that this data intelligence will boost your effort over. I give you an instance. My current workplace, what I do invariably deals with data. and nobody is going to ask you, have you learned this, or do you know this, or do you know that? It is just part of your job description and you have to deliver it. So because from day one, I do not shy away from data. In fact, when I see data, it's as if you are giving me my food. So I find it pretty easy to get along with all of those things. So regardless of what specialty in human resource that you are going through, this skill is still needed. Apart from the fact that if you want to now specialize, then you can start looking for people analytics role. There are a lot of vacancies like that online in whatever industry. You see people analytics, that is a dedicated specialism for it. But aside that, you still need this skill while you are dealing with other things. For instance, if you are a performance management person, how do you deal with performance if you cannot analyze the performance data that has been produced by whoever did the performance survey for a particular year? How do you make sense of that data? How do you correlate that particular data with previous year or other year and draw insights from it, then getting ready for another year, or knowing what to do or what to improve upon to make things appear different going forward? So it goes on, and it is not limited to HR. Like I told you, in fact, if you study more of these data skills, one day you may even get out of HR field entirely and start dealing with live data as a data analyst, and you will marvel. But it comes one step at a time. Thank you. Does that answer your question, Okwemi?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure there is any other question. In the absence of none, we've gone past today's uh, scheduled time limit. But if you still have any question anyway, we'll take the pain to answer it. But if there is no other question, permit me to draw the curtain at this point in time. Then we'll meet again next class. Get ready
Hello,
for
sir.
all calculations. Yes, please,
Hello,
Victoria.
sir. Yes, sir. The last data you showed, I don't know which of the classes. I am really interested in that one.
The data I showed, which of them?
No, the dashboard.
This one,
Yes,
this
sir.
one on the screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, that is project one, and I dropped the link to it. You can see it on the chat box. Look at your chat box in this meeting. The link is there. Can you see your chat?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, please kindly click on that chat. It takes you to that project online, and you can see the breakdown. All the other links and the data used for that project is equally there.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, everybody. Good to have you today. See you again next class. And bye for now.
Bye, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.